here we are, one more day in paradise. And when I say paradise, I mean on planet Earth. Last night I had a close call, or at least it felt like it. So, hallelujah, I'm here to tell the story. You know, one of my biggest fears in my life have been earthquakes. I always was very influenced by the San Andreas Fault, and you know, it's only a matter of time that the big one's gonna ruin LA, and it was just said so much in the echo chambers that as a child and then a teen, I believed it. It's like, well, the statistics are there. If I stick around in LA and make LA my home, I'm probably gonna die via being swallowed by the earth. True story. So I happily moved from LA, besides traffic, that being the primal fear reason. So needless to say, I have experienced quite many in my life, in my lifetime. And, you know, some were pretty sketchy, some I was afraid would never end. But I've never experienced seeing the earth open up, cars falling into an abyss. I've heard of things falling off the walls, or someone near missing a bookshelf. So I've never actually witnessed any damage, but last night. So why am I recording this? Because I have been in burnout all last year, and I brought myself to an island to remedy hypervigilance and disassociation. And in order to heal hypervigilance, you have to feel safe where you are. So you have to create safe environments. So I have been successfully embracing a quiet time here on the island, house sitting, and I have been feeling quite content in my current situation, even though it's an environment that's very probably one of the poorest counties in the state of Hawaii, and oldest fisherman village, very remote, and all the houses are on dark lava, so you stick out, you know, like you can see every light at night like a fishbowl. So compared to the visibility you have and non-privacy and the audio carrying, there's no mad music pumping at night. It is so silent, so quiet. My nervous system has felt so safe there. So I just want to clock that last night I was just about to fall asleep, and I was noticing just how safe I felt. It just felt so good. I was like, I really feel safe. Right in that moment, all these waves came up. And I have been thinking about waves and tsunamis. You know, when I get some kind of symbols, I notice the repeating pattern, and waves seem to be like the pattern. And the day before the earthquake, I had a dream, and I don't remember hardly any of my dreams, that the friend who I'm house sitting for was showering in her house, and I was outside trying to tell her, this big black storm is coming, and it was black, jet black. And I didn't have fear, but it looked ominous. So it definitely represented something ominous, and she couldn't hear me. And, you know, lo and behold, she's also on the mainland, so they wouldn't be experiencing that or having the same experience. So as I was falling asleep, and then the wall started shaking, and this house is like on stilts, you know, in case of a tsunami in that area, since it's like 2 blocks from the ocean. It felt like a huge truck was going by, but you know, that doesn't happen in that neighborhood. And lo and behold, it was like rumbling every which way. You know, feeling like the earth was rolling, the house was shaking, and I tried to just brace myself internally and go like, it's gonna pass, you know, it's temporary, but it just felt like it was escalating. And there was this moment, because I don't think I've ever been in stilts during an earthquake, and you know, you're normally supposed to go to a heavy table or a door frame. And I'm like, do I get under the bed? And then I'm like, no, then I'm gonna fall down into the basement and then be covered by the bed and the ceiling and the roof. So it was like there was nowhere to go, because the sounds and the creaking and the intensity of the shaking, I mean, massive roller coaster. I was like, I'm gonna be under the rubble. And crashing and banging everywhere. Anyway, once it was over, I walked through the house, and everything that had been on a top shelf was on the floor. Every lamp had fallen to the ground. Every mirror had fallen to the ground. Everything had shattered. But mostly, this shelving with 3 stacked aquariums. Fortunately, even though they were medium sized, there was only 1 betta fish per aquarium. Lucky me. But however, the whole thing had fallen, and glass and water and plants had fallen. So dirt, glass, and water just like mixed in the whole living room. And then the 2 cats that I'm house sitting, they were, I think, just very stunned and in place. So thankfully they weren't trying to investigate everything. And then I was like, how do I find the betta fish? I don't even know what colors they are. And I did manage to find 2 of them, plus some volunteer one. And in the sliding glass door ridge, whatever that's called, for some reason, I kept looking there for some reason, like 3 times, but there was nothing in there, like maybe some green from the aquarium. And then there was just so much glass and so much gravel from the aquariums. I'm like, and this happened at 9:45 p.m. so this is like 10:30 at this point, and I'm swapping up water, trying to remove glass, but way too much glass to even deal with. Everything had fallen in the toilet, and for like some reason I had closed the toilet seat. Normally I hadn't, so everything would have landed in the toilet. But even just my crystal skulls that were just sitting on the counter of the center countertop, like they were on their sides, and the fridge had moved 1 whole foot. So who knows, like whichever way the earth was shifting. The water catchment tank outside completely was still slopping back and forth, even though it's like 15 to 20 foot in diameter, really full, and that had a major overspill. But yeah, considering why I'm even chatting about this, considering one of my biggest fears, and I was all alone, and it happened while I'm falling asleep. So when you're like taken off guard, and like when you're waking up to that, you kind of are not conscious at all what's happening. So a lot of different ingredients, and I was still not afraid. Like, of course you're glad when it's over, but my body wasn't freaked out. So I'm just kind of reflecting on the fact that I felt so safe And then that happened, and I just like surrendered to it, because you can't control it. And that's why an earthquake is one of the scariest things, because you have like no control. You're not safe on the earth you're walking on. There is no place to go, you know, where other things are coming from above, and natural disasters or whatever. And so this morning when I woke up and inspected the damage again, it was quite excessive, quite overwhelming, but I didn't feel like I'd been through something really scary. Like I was resourced to experience it, and that was the gift for myself. And then I went to, right in that moment, I found this cute little head. Ah, the little child with a little lion hat on, like, courage, little Barushka, courage. So I started cleaning. There was glass everywhere, dirt everywhere, and like water everywhere, and then green water from the aquariums, my magic color. And then the miracle happened. It's like by the clock, it's 11 hours after said earthquake, and there was an aftershock like an hour later, which was a little distressing, but thankfully I only felt one. And I'm looking by the sliding glass door, I'm picking out all the green plants, and there's a tuft of green in the sliding door ridge, and I lift it up and I feel something moving, and it's a tiny betta fish, most beautiful bluish color, and I run and I plop it in a glass of water, and it was alive. And the song was playing on my YouTube, Higher Than the Mountain. This world is Maya. This world is Maya, meaning an illusion. This world is an illusion. And there I'm like looking through the glass with this fish that had been out of water for 11 hours, just swimming. And I was like, heck yeah, hallelujah, this is my Christmas miracle. Because I cared the night before, but there was going to be so much to dig through, and I didn't think it would be alive anyway, because there was so many heavy things covering all of the mess. But anyway, I got through picking up all glass and broken mirrors without a nick, and just brought everything to the dump. And I gave someone an EFT session earlier, and we both had experienced the earthquakes. So it was interesting to share about that. And so my takeaway right now is, you know, I do believe in the term mirror ball life. Life's a mirror, and that anything that happened is here to trigger you into fear, into love, into non-judgment, whatever it might be. If we're triggered by something, it's something we're having to surf and navigate. And so in the sense of like everyone being our mirror, I feel like all the mirrors breaking. Oh, and by the way, I listened to YouTube right before I was going to sleep that was called Your Old Identity is Getting Rattled into Your New Identity. So the fact that it used the word rattled, then I'm in this huge rattle. And what if we're going from a place of old earth where the obstacle course is everyone's still triggering you, and you're trying to make boundaries and practice self-love and self-respect. And then now this shift is happening. The mirror is broken. All the glass is breaking. Soil, new earth, water, spirit, emotions. I mean, it was like a huge mix of like piles and piles that was water, dirt, and broken glass shards. I'm like, what does this mean, this composition? And the mirror breaking is like, no, we don't need these mirrors to trigger us anymore. We are now the creators. We're now the leaders, producers, star of our own lives, where we're done being each other's poking stick. And it's time to play and enjoy and create. And yeah, break the mirrors. We're done with the illusion. It is time to anchor heaven on earth, and here I am in Lemuria. And wishing you the quakes that you need. Not too scary, but just enough to create a shift into the paradigm you want to be in. Let's take a deep breath together.